Hi, I'm Jason, and for some reason I make music as Sycamore Willow, and today I'm going to make a video with this guy, Evan.
What's up? I'm Evan, and I make music as Formica Treehouse, and today we're going to have a conversation about the Octatrack.
All right, let's do a lame high five. We're going to talk about the Octatrack today. Evan and I met at an open mic where I was performing, and we got to talking about the Octatrack, and he was curious about how I did that performance that night. So we're going to talk a little bit about the performance I built on here. And so we both thought this might be a video people would find useful. And so we're going to talk about the Octatrack. We're going to talk about things like live looping and unsynced looping, sort of unsynced. Anyway, let's get directly into it. So the funny thing is this is my second time owning an Octatrack Mark II, and the first one I owned was coincidentally this color. I forget when I bought it, but it was a while ago. And I got frustrated with it, like literally everybody does with the Octatrack, right? Like everybody talks about how it's too many layers deep to get into things.
I avoided it for a really long time for that reason.
Yeah, and they're not wrong. But so what happened was, and this is where we get into talking about unsynced loops, is that have been for a long time fascinated with making music mainly or only with loops. And I got first inspired by some musicians like Andrew Bird, who could just like on stage use a couple pedals and a violin and build a song, for goodness sake. As an appreciative listener, always wondered like how in the heck did they do that?
Yeah.
But now that I've like been brave and tried to take on making music that I don't know how to make, I found myself craving the ability to capture stereo loops and then be able to mangle them. And I swear to Christ, for like 2 years I was struggling with how do I mangle stereo samples. And then I think I just happened on an EasyBot video or maybe even a Red Memes recording video. And I was like, of course, it's the Octatrack. But
yeah.
For obvious reasons, I was reticent to buy it a second time. But suffice it to say that the ability to have a channel where you're just capturing a live instrument of some kind and then be able to copy it, essentially, copy that loop to other channels and have it keep looping and do things, that really, really spoke to me. So that's why I bought the Octatrack for a second time.
What were you using it? How were you using it the first time?
That's a great question.
Or like, what were you trying to use it for the first time?
See, this is why Evan's here. The way I was using it the first time, I think I was trying to use it to build songs, and I got really frustrated with that. Like I was trying to load a bunch of like one shots and pads and things like that and use that to try to compose. I wasn't having a whole lot of luck with that. I did make one track where I used a field recorder and like grabbed random sounds and then started slicing and mangling them. I think it's on my Bandcamp. It's a weird track. It's not great.
I'm sure it's awesome.
So yeah, I was just really frustrated with it. And I was like, this thing's expensive. I'm not doing enough with it. I'm going to get rid of it. A lot of people watch these videos or they're trying to figure out whether to buy these things. And one thing I will say that opened up the Octatrack for me was I had a Digitone for a couple years before this, and the workflow with that one is much easier. It's great. You can work really fast. You can, I'm to the point now where I don't have to think to do stuff. So having that under my belt helped with the Octatrack. So if you're wondering about whether to buy the Octatrack, first buy another device. No, I'm just. But that did help me. I don't know if that matters. But obviously the Digitone is not at all set up for live looping.
Right, and I had looked at a Digitone many times in the past. It's actually how I discovered Electron, because I was looking for a drum machine. I ended up buying an Analog 4, which is not a drum machine, but it can be used as a drum machine. But the Digitone seems to be, it's the groove box. If you had used an Electribe or like one of those things, right, it's like the modern version of that type of thing, which is what I thought the Octatrack was. And it always looked cool, and I always wanted to play with this cool slider. It is definitely not that. It can be that, but if you're only using it that way, you're using like 10% of what it can do, is what I've discovered since owning one for the last few months.
For sure. Yeah, let's get into my track. It has a working title of Space Needle 15.
Okay.
Because it's the 15th iteration of the Space Needle idea I have.
Got it. I thought it was going to be like every city in the country is now Seattle.
That's an even better idea. So let me talk a little bit about how I think about one approach to unsynced looping, as I call it, because it's none of these devices that I'm using are clocked.
What do you mean by unsynced looping?
This is so much more fun. Can you do all these videos?
This is what he means. There's no MIDI cables coming out of these.
Exactly. So what I've got is an OP-1, and it's got the tempo set at 110 BPM. And then I've got this OTO Bim. You can connect it with MIDI, not connected. And then I've got the CXM 1978. Also, no need to connect it via MIDI. There's no tempo-based effects here or anything.
Yeah, that's like reverb and chorus and stuff, right?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, reverb with a little bit of mod.
Nice.
The approach here is I've got this magic arpeggio that I really like on the OP-1. My favorite arpeggiator on the OP-1 is the Endless. So you can just just start smashing notes, and maybe don't even care if they're in a scale.
Okay.
Just if they sound good to your ear. They probably are in a scale if they sound good to your ear, right?
Usually.
Yeah. So, but then you can tweak the Endless to randomly skip notes that you played and start messing with the timing. So it's a really great inspiration tool for that. And then so I've got this arpeggiator going, and I'll change voices a little bit. And then when it goes into the BIM, one of the nice things I love about the BIM that sort of emulates the prime times that it's meant to emulate is you can freeze what's in memory, and it'll keep looping it.
Okay.
So I'm running an arpeggio loop into BIM and then freezing it, and so they're mixed together and creating all these.
Oh, and so they like offset.
They create polyrhythms. It's super fun.
That's very cool.
And then so you take this polyrhythm already, and then you bring it into the Octatrack here, and then the polyrhythms just start going insane, and it just becomes like melodies and that build themselves. And then I just try to hold it down with a drum beat eventually.
Got it.
So that's what we're gonna go through. We're gonna show you how to do this. So we should take a minute to make sure I talk about how the Octatrack is set up, and then I'm gonna talk through how I set this up, and then I'm gonna get Evan going on some stuff here that he hasn't tried, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna finish a piece of music today, but hopefully it'll be cool.
It'll be a slice of music.
It'll be
but not like a Octrack slice.
No, I thought that was a good fun. Stick with it, man. Commit to the bit. So again, want to make sure that we give praise to the masters. This setup is, I believe, almost entirely set up on an EasyBot setup. So if you want to know how to set it up in detail, just go watch his videos. I suppose it'd be nice if I linked out to it. I should probably do that. But I'll talk through it really quickly. I'll give credit to EasyBot on this. So track 8 is the master. Not a whole lot going on there other than one of the things I've done recently is I've set it up to use this so that I can end the song gracefully with an echo.
Got it.
That's taken directly from EasyBot. 7's got nothing. 6 has one of my I've sampled a drum machine loop, and 6 has a different drum loop, but it's I build them on top of one another to create more crazy rhythms.
And are those loops, or are they built with the sequencer?
No, these are loops. Check it out. I'll turn it up. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Woo, it's loud. Oh my goodness. So this is a drum loop taken from my Korg KR55, which looks like a desktop calculator from the 70s. It's dope. But listen to that kick.
It's great.
It's so fat. And I've got a little bit of a filter going on in there because you can hear it trying to take the hi-hat out.
And this is the verb coming from the Octrack or coming from the CXM?
From the Octa, yeah, because the CXM is only processing the OP-1. So there's that drum loop. Let's remute that, and then here's this drum loop. Kind of gating it a little bit, but if you open up the filter, it does some cool stuff. what else do we have going on here? Oh, so coming in through the through track, and a through track is just a way to bring any audio through inputs A and B or C and D. Again, like go check out someone like EasyBot. He can go into depth on this stuff. It's not what we're trying to tackle today. Pardon me. And so tracks 2, 3, and 4 are all set up very, very similarly. The audio that's coming in via track 1, the through track, these 3 are set up to record it. And I could go into depth and explain how, but maybe I'll just give it a quick run through to show you. So these are flex machines, and then you can see that they each have their own recording buffer. And what I've done is set them up so that, see if I can remember how to even get in here. Here we go. I have them set up to, as a source, there we go. Now I got it back. The source is track 1, and that's true for all of these. And that's how they get recorded in.
But they're using their own. They're not using track 1's buffer. They're using their own buffers.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So the audio is coming in through track 1. When I press record, hold down track 2 and record from the internal source, it gets put to their own buffer. So you can be playing these 3 buffers of loops at the same time.
Got it. And 2, 3, and 4 are all set up to listen to track 1, so you can take a different chunk of whatever's happening on track 1
exactly,
and then play that back.
Or right. That's a really helpful way to think about it. And in my case, because the loop that I'm working with is essentially pretty short, is what I can do is manipulate them differently.
Got it.
So like track 2, let me get out of this mode here. Track 2 has filter and phaser. Track 3 has filter and lo-fi. I love filters. Filters, I kind of gotta have them to shape sounds. And this last one is filter and delay. I usually use track 4 for a bass part that I put on there. Mm-hmm. Cool. So I'm not gonna perform the whole song here. It's never the same twice anyway. Okay, so here is a little bit of the ARP. It's a kind of an unexciting arpeggio, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still exciting. But it's exciting in its minimalist qualities.
Yeah. And then, you throw a little bit of nasty reverb on there, and it gets pretty fun all of a sudden. But then once I put the Bim in, and it just starts turning into a piece on its own. Mm-hmm. And then you freeze that guy. And then the next thing I might do then is just hold down track 2 and record it. So now, just to kind of prove what's happening here, let me turn everything off over here. Now you're just hearing the recorded loop. And it's not a graceful edit on its own, but when it's under everything else, it's almost unnoticeable. So let me bring back the other loops. And then there you go. There you have a polyrhythmic ambient track, the end. And so, like, when I'm doing the performance, the one where we met, I would do it again on this one and start playing around with different filter settings. And the one method I think I wanted to show Evan, because it was something I think maybe he hadn't considered, and it's silly simple. There's really nothing complex about it. But the samples I played earlier of the drums, right? I can start bringing those in. And then this other drum track, which I was cool to see you get a reaction to it, because I really love it too. So as I start opening up the filter on this one, and the effect on this one is a kind of a gated reverb on there, which is all the fun.
How are you getting it to be gated?
So if you go into the effect itself, it's got a gate right here.
Oh, okay.
And it clips the reverb after whatever time you set in here. But another approach that I kind of happen on my own that maybe is super obvious to you is you can start changing the nature of the loop, drum loop, by messing with your hold and release. Mm-hmm. And start getting these nice...
Right. And can you do the same with the attack? Make it kind of slide in? That's cool.
So you could start the performance with something like that, right? If you want it to be subtler, and then start to open it up.
Make it slap.
Yeah.
Get rid of the attack.
Anyway, so that's a very fundamental lesson. Like I was telling Evan earlier before we were doing this video that I'm not very good at drum programming, but what I am enthusiastic about, I mean, actually, I'm not even enthusiastic about drum programming. It's not something that I enjoy a ton, but I love these little old drum machines, and so I've been I haven't released much music with it yet, but it will be soon. Using old like Korg pre-programmed loop drum machines and mangling them and having fun with them in general. So this seems like an easy way out for me is doing it like this as opposed to doing a bunch of one hits. Cool. So we're going to switch things up here for a second. We're going to hook Evan up with some audio and see if we can get him making a track with loops only.
I'm determined. I will make a track.
Here we go.
With loops only.
I love your enthusiasm.
I've got a blank project. Track 1, it needs to be a through track. And it's coming from audio sources A and B. So A and B. And then I have to turn the volume up, right?
Probably.
Usually, yeah. And then I know I have to like lay a trig and play for a second.
This is now Evan's YouTube channel.
Formica Treehouse live. And this is, I got a blank Digitone thing happening.
We're gonna make it work.
The thing I like, the reason I got into the Digitone is because when you have a subtractive synth, the default sound is ugly, and then you shape it to sound pleasing. On the Digitone, listen to that. That's so nice.
Yeah, it's
you go the opposite direction. You start with it being nice, and then like I'm gonna make it fucked up.
Also, nobody understands FM synthesis.
I don't. Oh, something bad's happening. There we go. All right. Let's see. Okay, so track 2 needs to be a flex track. And it needs to be, it needs to have the record set up.
Yep.
Turn on the NA, B, and NCD down. Mm-hmm. Source 3 is track 1.
And this is how every Octatrack video starts.
You know what? The shirt that I should have worn today instead of this one, I have a shirt that says "Fix It in Pre." And that is, I feel like that is very much in the Octatrack. It's like a lot of pre-work. Like this, I got this because I want to play with the slider. The slider doesn't do anything unless you set it up. I was a little annoyed when that happened. Okay, and this needs to be the master. Where do I set that again? Project, audio. Yeah.
Good job. I didn't remember. I'm glad you did.
Cool. And we're not doing any MIDI. I'm usually like deep into the MIDI.
Oh, right. Yeah, this is why we talked. Yeah,
this is the first time the Octrack has been plugged in without MIDI.
Wow. Okay, it is a big day.
Yeah, big day for me. All right. We got 120. I'm going to drop these to 100.
Oh, yeah, and we're not even syncing the 2 electron boxes. This is against the rules.
It's against the rules. All right. Let me find some sounds in here real quick.
Great. Yeah, this should be fun. This will be a series of smash edits.
Yeah. I don't like the way that sounds at all. So I'm just grabbing a couple sounds that I can add to my sound pool. I use Mega Snare a lot. Because I hate myself. I do everything with the sound pool and sound locks. Just gonna hit. Oh, there's something in here already.
What? Oh, that might
Not anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything worthwhile in there, was I? Okay.
Oh no. And then let me find some sort of other sound. I use this guy a lot.
Yeah, that's a nice one. I like the panning on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I've got a sound source. And maybe like I can get these in there separately because I can mute the tracks. Yeah. Cool. All right, we got things happening. All right, what were we doing? Octatrack. This isn't a Digitone video. Went down a rabbit hole there. All right, so track one's the through track, but these. Okay, so track one. I don't actually record anything on track one.
No.
Okay, and I already set these guys up, right? Yes. Okay, so I need record trigs on all these.
Yes.
Gotta be in record mode to do that. Okay.
And you need, on the through track, you need an initial trig just to make it.
I got that.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wait, I did have that. Well, no, we're still hearing it.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, it must be working.
let's see. So we're going to hit play. And this is a little bit more structured than your thing. Your thing was like ambient.
Yeah.
So I might turn the click on. Hit play. Turn the click on. And then I'm going to arm it. And then I'm going to hit play on this. All right. Cool. Same thing.
And that's got,
Cool, we're getting it.
that sound has Boards of Canada vibes.
Totally.
I love it.
And then we need a playback trig. Cool, so now we're hearing the Digitone and this.
Oh man, that's fun.
So let's do something fun. Let's pitch this down.
You can hear my dog barking in the bathroom background.
Can we sample that?
Sure, let's do it. She's ended up on a lot of recordings. Oh wow. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, so I pitched track 3 down. That was on time. That bark was on time.
And then I don't know, what else you want to try? This is getting fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's the core of what you do, right? Or what your setup was.
Yeah. Like bring it in, start mangling it, and have happy accidents happen, right?
Yeah. So maybe what I could do is maybe track 4 is a neighbor track instead. And then I can have that with a delay on it. Do you know if will a neighbor track still play if the source track is muted? Yeah, it's still going.
Yeah.
I like the comb filter a lot. Actually, no, I'm gonna throw the comb filter on the drums.
Ooh. That is thick.
So I got so this is the cool part about unsynced looping, is that now I've got a cool delay effect happening. So I have an affected version of the drum loop happening on track 2.
Yeah.
Track 1 is a 3-track that is just playing the original source of the Digitone beat, but I was late hitting play, and now I've got this cool echo effect.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds...
Bring the original melody back in. And then, so what if I do something totally messed up here? I'm gonna make 3, turn slicing on. And then let's see what we can do here.
Evan's about to teach me stuff.
Okay, so slicing's on. I'm gonna go to the audio editor and
actually, since we're here, can you show me a little bit of that trick with the slicing, how you're getting it to pick this?
Yeah.
Just like, you can just show me exactly what you did.
should I back up?
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah.
All right. So yeah, we took out the Digitone and we took out the little chime sound that was coming on tracks 3 and 4, and so we just have the drum loop that we recorded on track 2, which is 16 notes, and I just have a trigger on step 1 of both pages, so it's just re-triggering it over and over again. But if we want to chop it up, we can go into the source setup of this track 2, turn on slices, which I already had it on, but it's on now. And then it's actually best illustrated if we stop. So slicing is on. If I go into the audio editor for this track, here's our drum loop. If I hit function yes, you can see it plays back. It plays back imperfectly.
And also
unsynced loops.
Yes.
A Sycamore Willow trademark. Cool. So when you're in the slicing menu, you can hit yes to just create a slice. So like now that's a slice. So you could do that for like individual spots. So I could like say I want to slice here as well. You know, slice. And then if I back out of this real quick, if I change my trigger mode to slices, every slice you create ends up showing up there. And it just reflects exactly what's in the audio editor, and you can see it actually jumps around when I hit the different buttons. But what's something that you can kind of do really quickly, and I'm hoping to eventually do this like live, is you record a loop, and then instead of going and trying to line up this guy on like where the transient is, if you just go back to the beginning and you hit yes, actually no, I think you need to be not on a slice. Hit yes, you can go to create slice grid, and it just asks you how many slices you want, and it just evenly slices up your loop based on how many you select. And so for drums it works really well, so I'll just hit it. We know the pattern was 16th notes, so I'm just gonna hit 16th. Align marker to 0 crossings. That just makes sure that it starts each sample where the sound crosses the zero point. Yep. So you don't. It helps reduce clicks and pops, but doesn't always totally get rid of them. So now you can say I have 16 slices, and I didn't have to set any of them manually. So, and actually because it's not perfectly on the beat, we're getting like weird bits of this. Yeah. Yeah, like we can see like this one's actually like, it's probably like a 30-second note off. So I bet if I like do stuff with this and then play it with the source drums, it's gonna sound pretty cool.
Maybe. Let's give it a
try. Because it's gonna be like offset. Yeah. Cool. So
I'm so glad that you're open to this approach, because other people are like, this is fucked, I can't do this.
It is fucked. And I would never do this, but now I'm going to. So thank you for making me unplug my MIDI cables. Cool. So now if I just get rid of these trigs that I had, I can just put some, lay them down.
Oh, I'm really excited about this.
And I'll just like, we're just gonna make it like totally in random spots, and then we'll change from there. And then so now if I hit play, it's just gonna play that first slice.
Sure, yeah.
Right. But what I've seen some people do is set an LFO, and you can set it to like random, and then have it modulate the start, pit the source start. And if you're in slice mode, because remember we turn slice mode on, that start parameter, it's this parameter.
Right.
It changes from a point in time to the slice number that you're starting with. So you can see it's set to slice 1. If I change it, now it's slice 2, but every note is starting from slice 2.
Yeah.
You can see down here it's the second slice that's being triggered.
Very cool.
Yeah. Cool. So go back to the LFO setup. It's set to random. It's set to modulate the which slice is happening, and I'm just going to turn the depth up, and then we're going to hear it change. And then if I go in, I had the comb filter on here. I'm going to change this to a reverb.
Yeah. You read my mind. We're mind melding.
Dark reverb. I love the dark reverb.
It's so good.
Oh. It kind of sounds like that bass drum kind of sounds like a Mortal Kombat like impact. All right.
Finish him.
All right, now we're gonna bring this guy back in imperfectly. Let's get some filter action happening. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool for coming up with something in 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I did not think that using this approach with drums and the way we just did, I didn't think it was gonna work. But I'm pleasantly surprised that it's come up with like cool accents and stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah, it can be a little hit or miss.
Yeah.
And then what's cool about this is like, since you don't have to worry about picking the slice, it's picking it for you essentially.
Yeah.
I could like add and remove as many as I want.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. I think I need to increase the speed of the first LFO a bit.
Oh, it's, yeah.
Cool. Here we go.
So, what do we do today? We talked about Unsync loops, and we talked about the Octatrack and what a not easy instrument it is to set up.
It's very cool, and there's nothing else that does what it does.
Yeah.
It is not intuitive.
No.
Electron, you need to work on that.
But on the other hand, it's so powerful, and like you said, nothing else seems to do what it does.
Right, and it doesn't do one thing. I think that's the biggest takeaway about the Octatrack is like, yeah, I can use it like a regular groove box with one-shot samples, and it actually is really good at that. And I've seen people play live doing that, but that's using such a small percentage of its power, and being able to just completely record something and rearrange it and filter it and all this stuff is like, that's, I think, where it really shines. And
I think part of the reason you and I really connected over this is like we both hate writing music on a computer.
Yes.
And I realize this is just a computer with a different interface. And I, for some reason, I'm the sort of dumb carbon-based life form that cares about this thing. I'm super glad like we did this, man. I loved watching the slice flow. That was a good that's going to be for the DVD bonus track. No, it's going to be on this video. Don't worry.
At least parts of it.
No, that really inspired me to try, because I haven't fucked with slices at all yet. Dope, man. Thanks for picking this up so quick and trying it with me. This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me over. And this shouldn't be the last time we do this. I think it was pretty cool.
I agree. Yeah. All right. Let's do some more.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.